Sex? Wow. Sex is big. Sex is everything. Sex brings pleasure. It brings babies. It brings pain. We make laws about sex. Sex is used to oppress people. Sex can be liberating. Our entire history is filled with things that have taken place, things that have been done to people, laws that have been made, wars that have been fought about sex. Sex is not just a physical act, it is so much more. It is also not gender, it's just everything.
A lot of people will say that sex is about penis-vagina intercourse, and that's a very easy definition to use, but there's a lot of other ways to have sex. It's easier for me to say what sex doesn't have to be. Sex doesn't have to be with a partner. It doesn't have to be penis-vagina intercourse. It doesn't have to be oral sex. It doesn't even have to be direct genital stimulation. For many people, sex is about pleasure, but not always. You can go through many of the same acts and experience a lot of pleasure or a little pleasure and still consider it sex. I think one of the best descriptions for sex is whatever feels like sex to you. For some people, it's one thing, and for some people, it's something else.
Um certo ponto de saber ser homem, ser mulher, seja lá qual for a tua escolha de conexão com o outro, assim. Então eu vou nos templos Hare Krishna ficar olhando as moças fazendo meditação e eu olho para as pernas das freiras e eu gosto do olhar dos padres. É que eu gosto de fuder almas. Gosto de transar espíritos, eu gosto de... Não me interessam mais nem os homens nem as mulheres, eu gosto de transar com deuses. É outra coisa, Não é necessário pegar e nem seduzir a pele, mas às vezes é só o fato de estar perto, há uma gravidade alquímica, se quiser chamar, entre certas pessoas que ocorre, às vezes. E é tão bonito quando ocorre, é tão maior que qualquer entra e sai, que a coisa se dá como se fosse perfume da alma.
Sex and love are not two separate things. That is an artificial separation of a sex-negative culture. Sexuality is the energy that fires us up. It fires love, it fires creativity, it fires spiritual consciousness. It is the life force. It flows through us all the time, and it inspires us, and it fills us with just our connection to the universe, to the cosmos. It is spirit.
It's amazing how many similarities there are between sex and food. You never know what you're going to like until you try it. You could be really hungry one day and not very hungry the next day. And if two people are going to sit down and have dinner together, they need to be able to talk about what they're going to eat. It's a funny thing. A lot of people will suggest that a good way to tell a partner what you want to do sexually is to do it indirectly, to make sounds or to move your body. And those can be very useful. But imagine that I was walking down the street with a friend of mine. And instead of saying, I'm kind of hungry, why don't we go in here and get a sandwich? As we were walking past the door, I just kind of bumped into them and tried to shove them into the restaurant. That would be totally ridiculous. But we expect the same kinds of things when it comes to sexuality. rather than looking somebody in the eye and saying, you know, I'm really attracted to you, I would really enjoy having sex with you, we're expected to flirt and be indirect and touch somebody or flip the hair or whatever it might be. What if we could have as much freedom to put our sexual desires on the table as we do putting our food desires? I think the world would be a much happier place.
What is said out loud and what is done behind private doors? There's always a huge difference between that. In the 1950s, in the United States, when Kinsey did his studies about sexual behavior in the human male, sexual behavior in the human female, what got him into so much trouble is that these ideas that we had about what people were doing sexually, when he cataloged them and recorded them, it was nothing like what people thought it was supposed to be, and people found it very, very offensive. That he was, they had a phrase at the time that was holding a mirror up to the American public, and the American public flinched. So there's always, always, always been a big gap in between what people say that you're allowed to do and what people are actually going to do.
When you just think about the physical act, everybody wants to get laid, and a lot. And we have shame about that. So sex is shame. It's one of the biggest sources of shame, I think, because we feel bad about sex. And it hurts us.
Yeah.
And it feels good. It's confusing.
It is confusing. Damn it.
The next question is, are there barriers in society that inhibit your sexual freedoms? What are they, and how can we remove them? Barriers in society that inhibit your sexual freedoms.
I still feel like women, especially, like, for example, I don't know, just the simple act of, for example, not wearing a bra, like feeling that like showing your nipples is something that's going to be erotic to, like, especially, like, I feel like that's very, like, kind of living in a, you know, macho society where, like, everything that you do, like, especially for women, they, like, you have to be careful about not, like, you know, attracting the attention of men for some reason. And so, like, I only started feeling comfortable not wearing a bra when I started identifying as lesbian or queer, which I think is very interesting. So.
Well, that also points to how, I mean, like, I feel like there are barriers, and one of the things that I felt awkward about, especially in sex-positive spheres, is trying to find a balance between sex as stigma in the sex-negative overculture that is out there. Like when we go out into not San Francisco, we're like, you know, sex shaming. Yeah, we talk about it. We eroticize pretty much everything. Hello, Hollywood. Hello, like, you know, children's beauty pageants. Whoa. But at the same time, then we go into this other culture where we are in San Francisco, and I feel like it's really just sex as celebration without having a middle ground, where sex can just be kind of a thing that happens because it doesn't have to be amazing. It doesn't have to be awful. It can just be part of regular life in the same way that eating would be or exercise would be. And I haven't found that in any sphere that I've been to.
Human beings learned very quickly that shame and guilt were very powerful tools for controlling people. And I think that what's happened over thousands of years is that we have developed religion and laws and governments and all sorts of social norms that are made to make people feel guilty about sex. And it's all about control. Because the more that they control people by making them feel bad about who they are and what they want to do, the more they can have power over them and make sure that they have all the money and all the resources and that other people are, you know, not. So I think that's what it's about. You know, I don't think the cause is religion. Religion is a result. I don't think laws and religion are what cause the shame and the guilt. I think it's the desire for power and control over people that have created religion and have created laws that then enforce and reinforce these feelings of shame and guilt around sexuality and police our sexuality.
There are a lot of barriers culturally, societally, legally around sexual freedom and that limit people around their sexuality. I think a lot of them boil down to shame. Sexual shame is something that runs really deep. Most people have experienced it at one time or another, whether it's your parents shaming you for masturbating, or people telling you that you're a slut if you dress a certain way, or you're not macho if you act another way, whatever it might be, sexual shame really does affect pretty much everybody in my experience. And then that manifests in different structures. For example, a lot of the legal boundaries around sexuality are rooted in restricting sex to particular acts, usually heterosexual monogamous marriage, for the purpose of making babies. When I think of sexual freedom, I really think that is the celebration of whatever choices people make around their sexuality, whether that's having no partners, one partner, 100 partners, 1,000 partners, gay, straight, bisexual, queer, heterosexual, whatever it is, as long as it's what's right for that person at that point in their life, then nobody else needs to judge that. For some people, that means having casual sex, and for some people, that means being in a committed relationship. And as long as everybody is cared for within that and taking care of themselves, I think that's fantastic.
The reason that I do work in sexuality, and the thing that's the most important to me about doing this work, is that I don't want a single person to feel bad about how they feel or what they desire. We have all experienced lots of pain and lots of guilt because we desire something or we want something, and we feel bad about feeling that way, or other people shame us. And I don't want anybody to feel that way. And when I think about kids and the pain they experience because of their sexuality, whether they're straight or gay or whatever, it breaks my heart. And we've all been through it, and I don't want anyone going through that. I don't want kids going through that. It's a horrible thing. And that's why I do the work. You made me cry.